So as an overview of the research, what we did, Lillian Labs and Dialsmith partnered with our advisory partner, which was Boost Oregon, and we conducted an online study. Our goal was to offer research-based recommendations to optimize Boost Oregon's efforts in communicating accurate information about the COVID-19 vaccine to targeted populations that might be hesitant or resistant to taking the vaccine. What we did was we fielded a national online survey in late January to early February with 200 adults. We focused on those people that are ages 40 to 64 because we wanted them to be at moderate risk of getting COVID-19, and also we wanted them to be on the earlier round of people that would qualify for the vaccine. We did a mix of Caucasians and African Americans so that we could test some of those early hypotheses that we had. And we made sure that we screened for people that either had a low to moderate willingness to receive the vaccine when it would be available to them. So we dial tested 2 audio recordings that were of messages with 2 different approaches about the COVID-19 vaccine. And we also followed up with 6 in-depth interviews with African American survey respondents to further dig into their perceptions of the vaccine and how we might be more effective in influencing them. So what we did is early on, we identified groups as either being persuadables or the opposition. And we used one key question to do this. We asked, how likely are you to receive the COVID-19 vaccine when it is available to you? They responded on a 0 to 10 scale. A 0 meant they were not at all likely to take it. And a 10 was they were extremely likely to take it. We focused on those persuadables and opposition categories. Persuadables were those people who responded to 4, 5, 6, or 7 with a moderate likelihood to get vaccinated, and they were about half of our respondents. The other half we called the opposition. They were the ones that rated a 0, 1, 2, or 3 as far as likelihood to get vaccinated. And it's interesting that the average score for them was a 0.9. So even though they may have answered a 0 to 3, there were a lot of zeros, a lot of ones in there. So really, really strong opposition to getting vaccinated. So what do you need to know about persuadables? Why do they say they'll wait? There are a couple different reasons. In their words, there's not enough facts and information on the effectiveness or side effects. They want to wait and see how it affects others. They're waiting until people who are older or more vulnerable with health problems to get it first. And some are waiting until their physician says they should because they have a pre-existing condition or other health condition that they're concerned about. But the good news for our study was both of our messaging approaches were effective. In fact, 42% of those persuadables actually moved to on board, so a higher willingness to take the vaccine in the 8, 9, or 10 range after they heard one or both of our messages. So we felt really good about that and reaching them and being effective. So what do you need to know about the opposition? Their opposition is strong. First, you need to cover a couple bases with them. You need to convince them that the threat of COVID-19 is real. You need to move them to a compliance mindset for the benefit of the whole community. You need to get them on board with vaccines in general and convince them of their safety. And then you need to build a connection with a trusted source. Once you've covered those areas, then you can start messaging to the opposition about COVID-19 vaccines and be more effective. So what do you need to know about the African American group? First, they have a more personal connection to COVID-19, which leads to them being slightly more concerned about getting the virus, and they've been slightly more compliant with precautions along the way. They tend to skew more to persuadables compared to their Caucasian counterparts, and they actually gave both of our messages a slightly higher rating than the Caucasian group. From my in-depth interviews, I want to share 4 key takeaways that I found to be really interesting. First, they have a lot of questions. Most of them stem from will it work for me? They're really seeking that reassurance on the effectiveness and side effects that it will have for them as individuals. They're seeking a reassurance from two different types of sources. First, the scientists and the medical community, they're very interested in hearing about the people who created the vaccine, how it was tested, people that were involved in the testing and the approval process. Plus, it's really important that they hear from people that they personally know that have taken the vaccine already, and not just the day after they take the vaccine. They want to hear from them after a few weeks have passed. They really want to know that they're okay and that it was worth it for them to take the vaccine. Some feel that they can control the prevention of contracting COVID-19 better than they can control the possibility of getting serious side effects from the vaccine. They talk to me about all of the things they've been doing, avoiding crowds, staying at home a lot, washing their hands, wearing masks, social distancing. They've been doing a lot and they've been successful so far at avoiding COVID-19. So for them, it feels a little bit contradictory to say, okay, now I'm going to take the vaccine into my body and subject myself to having side effects. So they just need to think about that control over their bodies and their health a little bit differently. They blend COVID-19 and the vaccine and those side effects a lot, and sometimes they have a hard time differentiating between the two. Finally, all 6 people I talked to were flu shot avoiders for multiple reasons, but it all boils down to they sense that flu shots are safer than the COVID-19 vaccine simply because flu shots have been around for so much longer, but they still are not on board with taking the flu shot. So it's an even stronger argument that they need for the COVID-19 vaccine. So I also identified some opportunities for message development in the future. One thing that I'd like to try out is framing the vaccine as a way to stay in control as compared to COVID that they can't control. I think that control theme, in many different areas can be effective, including this topic. I'd also like to see messaging that compares the uncertainty of long-term COVID symptoms to the long-term side effects of the vaccine. By now, we have twice as many people that have received the vaccine than have had COVID. So we have a lot more information about the vaccine side effects. And I think we need to bring that to the attention of people that are hesitant about it. We also need to bring to life the diversity of the people in the clinical trials, help them see themselves and know that they were represented in the clinical trials and that their side effects should be similar to those people in the clinical trials. And when I say see themselves in diversity, I mean see their race and ethnicity, see their age, see their gender, see people with health conditions like theirs. It is so easy for them to go down the path of Murphy's Law and say, but I'm going to be the exclusion because I wasn't included in the test. You need to really know that that clinical trial represents all of us. Finally, I think it would be really effective to share stories of people weeks after their final vaccine to highlight their positive outlook. There are 2 different things you need to demonstrate, and one is that they're okay, they've overcome the side effects, and they have a healthy outcome post-vaccine, and the other one is just emotionally and socially those things that they can do. Show the grandparents spending time with grandkids, show, kids back in school with teachers, show people enjoying company together. That whole, help them see that end of the pandemic coming because people are getting vaccinated.